You'll never get any place. You can't do this, you can't do. I don't discuss that any more than what I have just now. I know you get a lot of rejection talk.
Audrey Hepburn, the iconic actress, left behind a legacy that will never be forgotten. But what happened to her home and family after her death? This legacy, although covered for decades, has finally been revealed. What was Audrey Hepburn's net worth at the time of her death, and who inherited her estate? Join us as we uncover this secret story. Audrey Hepburn's abandoned house. In a quiet little village called Tolochenaz in Switzerland, there's a beautiful home that once belonged to someone very special, Audrey Hepburn. Far away from the flashing cameras and busy streets of Hollywood, this house was her peaceful escape. The locals still remember her gentle smile and how kind she was whenever they saw her in town. She didn't act like a big star. She was warm, friendly, and calm, just like her home. The house was named La Paisible, which means the peaceful, and it truly lived up to that name. Surrounded by green hills and fresh air, the home stood like a quiet hug from nature. Though it had many rooms, 21 in total, it never felt too big or showy. Audrey didn't care for grand things. She liked comfort, warmth, and quiet. There were oak wood floors, soft-colored tiles, and 5 fireplaces that made everything feel cozy. Whether reading by the fire or looking out over the garden, the house gave her space to breathe. Inside, there was a library full of books and stories. The dining room was made for happy family dinners. A big swimming pool sat outside, hidden among the trees, where Audrey and her sons could enjoy summer days in peace. The home could fit many cars, but it was never a place full of noise or parties. Instead, it was full of love, laughter, and simple joys. Her sons, Sean and Luca, grew up there, far from the chaos of celebrity life. Audrey spent her days cooking, gardening, and playing with her dogs. She had several little Jack Russell Terriers who were part of the family. Her love for animals was sweet and deep. She even brought home a baby deer named Ip while filming Green Mansions. Audrey bottle-fed the fawn and cared for it like a baby. It followed her around everywhere, just like a puppy. That was Audrey, full of love, always gentle. This house was not just a place to live. It was where Audrey healed. After hard times and heartbreak, she found comfort in her garden and in her children's laughter. She planted vegetables, picked flowers, and made home-cooked meals. She didn't need attention anymore. She had finally found peace. One very special touch in the garden is a white rose bush, a birthday gift from her dear friend, designer Hubert de Givenchy. It still blooms today, a quiet symbol of their friendship and her beautiful life. After Audrey passed away, the home became still. In 2001, her sons sold it to new owners, Katharina and Jean-Marc Beaujolin. They cared for it with respect. They made small updates, but kept the spirit of the house just as it was. Outside, a plaque with Audrey's name reminds visitors of who once lived there. And even though she is gone, it still feels like her house. Today, the rooms are quieter, and the garden has grown a little wild, but the feeling remains, the feeling of love, peace, and sweetness. Audrey's spirit lingers there, like a soft whisper in the wind. This isn't just a house. It's a gentle memory of a woman who gave the world so much beauty, not only on screen, but in life. Let's dive into Audrey's relationships. How did it affect her life? Let's explore. Audrey Hepburn's journey through love. While she enchanted audiences with her elegance and charm, her heart held its quiet tales of love, disappointment, and a quest for lasting happiness. Her experiences in love were intricate and emotional, filled with profound connections and unforeseen heartbreaks. She first encountered Mel Ferrer, an American actor, at a cocktail party thrown by their mutual friend, Gregory Peck. They connected instantly, with Audrey attracted to Mel's serious demeanor and artistic perspective. What began as a creative collaboration soon blossomed into romance. They performed together in the play Ondine, and their chemistry, both on and off the stage, intensified. In September 1954, Audrey and Mel exchanged vows in a private ceremony in Switzerland, becoming a beloved couple in the public eye. However, beneath their cheerful facade, their marriage faced difficulties. Audrey experienced 2 miscarriages before welcoming their son, Sean, in 1960. She cherished being a mother, but the journey to that point was fraught with pain. Despite maintaining her grace and kindness, there were whispers that Mel was controlling, influencing many of her personal and professional choices. Audrey never voiced her grievances, remaining devoted, even as their relationship showed signs of strain. After 14 years together, they divorced in 1968, marking the end of a significant chapter filled with both affection and unspoken tension. That same year, while on a cruise with friends, Audrey met Andrea Dotti, an Italian psychiatrist who was lively and charming. He captivated her, and they married in January 1969, with Audrey hoping for a new beginning. She envisioned having more children and stepping back from the demands of her career. In 1970, she welcomed her second son, Luca, taking great care during her pregnancy to ensure a healthy birth. At first, Audrey's life in Rome with Andrea appeared joyful, filled with home-cooked dinners, strolls in the garden, and the laughter of their young son. However, issues soon emerged. Over time, Andrea grew more distant and was often seen with younger women, causing Audrey heartache. During the filming of Bloodline in 1979, she found a brief solace in actor Ben Gazzara. Her marriage to Andrea lasted 12 years, but by 1982, it came to an end, leaving her with another lost love and a bruised heart. In her later years, a new chapter began. Audrey met Robert Wolders, a Dutch actor and widower of actress Merle Oberon. While she was still recovering from her divorce, Robert also understood loss. Together, they built a serene life, filled with shared experiences and genuine peace. They chose not to marry, but Audrey viewed their relationship as a true partnership, often saying that her time with Robert was the happiest of her life. He stood by her through everything, gardening in the Swiss countryside, playing with their dogs, and supporting her humanitarian efforts. They didn't seek the spotlight, they only needed each other. Their love was calm, steady, and sincere. Robert provided what others could not: companionship and understanding. Although they did not have children together, their connection was profound and enduring until her death. After Audrey's passing, Robert continued their shared mission, helping others and honoring her memory through acts of kindness. His life remained intertwined with hers long after she was gone. When he passed away in 2018, it felt like the closing chapter of a love story that began quietly and ended with grace. Audrey Hepburn's romantic journey was not a flawless fairy tale. It was a real story, filled with joy and pain, loyalty and betrayal. She was admired by many, loved by a few, and truly understood by even fewer. While her life was influenced by the men she loved, it was never solely defined by them. Audrey's relationships might have been shaky, yet some people stole her heart. Who were these, and what relationship do they have with her? Let's find out. Audrey Hepburn's children. Audrey Hepburn was celebrated globally as a graceful and elegant star, but to her two sons, she was just mom. Beyond the glitz and glamour, Audrey led a life rich in love, patience, and a strong commitment to her children. Her sons, Sean and Luca, were her top priority. In raising them, she discovered a purpose that surpassed her fame, and through them, her legacy of kindness and compassion continues. Sean Hepburn Ferrer. Her first son was born during her marriage to actor Mel Ferrer. From the moment he was born, Audrey's life changed dramatically. She began to distance herself from Hollywood, opting to dedicate herself to motherhood instead of pursuing more acting roles. She wanted Sean to enjoy a childhood away from the limelight, so she moved to Switzerland, where she built a serene and private life in the countryside. Sean embraced his mother's artistic influence, but carved out his unique path. He explored various roles in the film industry, from development to production, and even directed a documentary about a former prisoner's remarkable journey. What truly distinguished Sean was his dedication to preserving his mother's legacy. He authored a touching biography titled Audrey Hepburn, An Elegant Spirit, sharing personal anecdotes from his childhood with her. He later co-wrote a children's book inspired by Audrey's early years, helping young readers appreciate her strength and kindness. The proceeds from this book supported research for rare diseases, a cause he deeply cares about. One of Sean's most significant contributions was establishing the Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund. Launched a year after her death in 1993, the charity continues her humanitarian efforts. Sean collaborated closely with his half-brother, Luca Dotti, and Robert Wolders, Audrey's last partner, to ensure her spirit of generosity endures. Luca Dotti. Luca Dotti, Audrey's younger son from her second marriage to Italian psychiatrist Andrea Dotti, shared a strong connection with his mother. He was raised in Europe, away from the Hollywood spotlight, as Audrey aimed to shield her children from fame. Luca grew up in a nurturing environment filled with laughter and the delightful aroma of home-cooked meals. Audrey enjoyed cooking. and those simple kitchen moments became some of Luca's most treasured memories. A reflective and reserved individual, Luca chose a different career path than his mother and brother. He became a professional graphic designer in Italy. Although he did not enter the film industry, he remained closely aligned with his mother's principles. He authored Audrey at Home, Memories of My Mother's Kitchen, a heartfelt collection of recipes and anecdotes that revealed a side of Audrey that few knew, not the iconic actress, but the loving mother who read bedtime stories, left sweet notes in lunchboxes, and guided her sons with gentleness and care. Like his brother Sean, Luca has continued to support the Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund. Together, they have worked to honor their mother's humanitarian efforts, sharing her story in ways that truly reflect her essence, a woman who loved profoundly and gave selflessly. Audrey Hepburn's choice to step back from fame was challenging, but she made it with unwavering resolve. She wanted her sons to understand that they were loved not for their mother's public persona, but for who she was to them personally. She cultivated a life rich in simple pleasures, gardening, snuggling with her dogs, cooking meals, and sharing bedtime stories. In her later years, Audrey often expressed that motherhood was her most significant role. Her sons were not just her children. They were her foundation, her tranquility, and her enduring joy. Audrey Hepburn's last chapter. As Audrey Hepburn neared the end of her life, she faced a battle unlike any she had fought before. This time, the struggle was not on the movie set or under the bright lights, but within her body. It all started after a trip to Somalia in 1992, where she worked with UNICEF, helping those in need. After returning home to Switzerland, Audrey began to feel sharp abdominal pain. At first, it seemed like a minor issue, and doctors couldn't find anything wrong, but something much more serious was quietly taking hold. In search of answers, Audrey traveled to Los Angeles. After undergoing a laparoscopy, doctors revealed that she had a rare and aggressive cancer called pseudomyxoma peritoneae. This disease had been silently growing inside her for years, causing small tumors on her intestines. The diagnosis was heartbreaking, but Audrey, with her usual strength and grace, faced it head-on. She underwent surgery and started chemotherapy, hoping to have more time with her family and loved ones. Even while dealing with this life-threatening illness, Audrey's focus remained on what mattered most: her family, love, and peace. She returned to her beloved home in Tolochenaz, Switzerland, a place where she had always found comfort. Due to her recovery, Audrey could not travel by commercial flight, so her dear friend, the famous designer Hubert de Givenchy, arranged for a private jet to bring her home. The jet was beautifully decorated with fresh flowers, making it feel like a garden in the sky. Once back at her peaceful home, La Paisible, surrounded by gardens and white rose bushes, Audrey spent her final days in calm and comfort. Hospice care was provided to ensure she was as comfortable as possible. Though she spent much of her time in bed, there were moments when she was able to walk through the garden, feeling the soft earth beneath her feet and breathing in the fresh Swiss air. It was in this quiet, loving space that she spent her last days, away from the noise and attention of the world. On January 20th, 1993, Audrey Hepburn passed away peacefully in her sleep at the age of 63. The news of her death sent waves of sadness across the globe. Audrey had been more than just a glamorous movie star. She was a symbol of kindness, elegance, and compassion. People mourned not just the actress, but the beautiful soul who had touched so many lives with her warmth. Her funeral took place just 4 days later in the small church in Tolochenaz, the same church where she had shared many happy moments with her family. The service was intimate, attended by her sons, Sean and Luca, her partner Robert Wolders, and close friends like Hubert de Givenchy. Also present were her ex-husbands, UNICEF representatives, and fellow actors such as Alain Delon and Roger Moore. Flowers from friends like Elizabeth Taylor and Gregory Peck arrived, showing the love and respect they had for Audrey. Gregory Peck later recorded a touching tribute to honor her memory. Audrey was laid to rest in a cemetery close to her home, surrounded by the peaceful hills and gardens that had meant so much to her. Her grave, though simple, was vibrant with white tulips and small mementos left by those who remembered her not just for her films, but for the kindness she showed the world. Audrey Hepburn left this world as gracefully as she had lived in it, with dignity, love, and serenity. It was a fitting end for a woman whose life had always been about more than fame and fortune. It was about making the world a better place, one small act of kindness at a time. As she passed, she left behind a long list of assets, which portrayed her personality. What assets did she leave behind? Who inherited these amassed treasures? Let's dive into it. Audrey Hepburn's real wealth. When Audrey Hepburn passed in January 1993, the world lost a remarkable icon. She embodied compassion, humility, and a commitment to service. While her financial success is often highlighted, her true value transcends monetary measures. At the time of her passing, Audrey Hepburn's net worth was estimated at around $55 million, which would be approximately $100 million today when adjusted for inflation. This wealth came from years of successful acting, modeling, endorsements, and wise investments. However, she lived modestly, preferring a serene life in nature with her loved ones. Audrey's estate was meticulously organized in a handwritten will, specifying that her two sons, Sean Hepburn Farrer and Luca Dotti, would inherit her estate equally. Among their inheritance was a storage unit in Los Angeles, filled with personal mementos, old film memorabilia, clothing, letters, photographs, and other cherished items from her illustrious career. However, the will did not specify how to divide these items, leading to some disputes. To resolve the situation, the brothers sought the assistance of a judge to help distribute the belongings. Eventually, they reached a consensus and collaborated with Christie's auction house to sell many of the items. The collection was divided into 3 categories: items for auction, pieces each brother would retain, and items they already possessed. They agreed to share the proceeds from the sales equally and to split any unsold items as well. Audrey's true wealth extended beyond her possessions. The most significant part of her legacy stemmed from her humanitarian efforts in her later years. From the late 1980s until shortly before her passing, she devoted herself to working with UNICEF. Her contributions were not merely symbolic. She traveled to some of the world's poorest nations, interacted with sick and malnourished children, and leveraged her fame to highlight their struggles. Her UNICEF work took her to countries like Ethiopia, Turkey, South America, Central America, Sudan, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Somalia. These journeys were challenging. She didn't just appear for photo ops. She walked through dusty villages, cradled ill children, and confronted the harsh realities of hunger, disease, and poverty. Audrey believed in taking action rather than just delivering speeches. In Somalia, just months before her death, she described the conditions she witnessed as worse than any famine she had ever seen. In acknowledgement of her relentless efforts, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President George H.W. Bush. After her passing, the Academy honored her with the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award. In 2002, UNICEF unveiled a statue at its New York headquarters called The Spirit of Audrey, serving as a lasting tribute to her dedication to children's welfare. Even after her death, Audrey's personal belongings continued to do good. A Christie's auction showcased many cherished items, including iconic clothing and rare letters and scripts. Notable pieces like her Givenchy dress from Breakfast at Tiffany's, a classic Burberry trench coat, and a pair of bright red heels from her film career attracted considerable interest. Her scripts, filled with her personal notes and edits, provided insight into her thoughtful acting process. Even smaller items, such as a cigarette lighter, a swizzle stick, or handwritten letters, were valued for their personal significance. The funds raised from the auction supported the causes that were important to Audrey, especially UNICEF and various children's charities. Her sons ensured that the items served not only as keepsakes, but also as instruments for ongoing kindness, something Audrey would have appreciated. Her residence in Switzerland, known as La Paisibly, was more than just a home. It was a serene retreat from public life. This estate was where she experienced some of her happiest moments in her later years, nurturing her garden, spending time with family, and finding peace after years in the limelight. It was also the place where she passed away, enveloped in love, leaving behind cherished memories rather than noise. Since her passing, Audrey Hepburn's life has come to symbolize more than just beauty or cinema. It represents compassion, quiet strength, and the importance of doing good, even when unnoticed. The Audrey Hepburn Children's Fund, established by her family, continues to support initiatives worldwide in her memory. UNICEF's Audrey Hepburn Society honors generous contributors and carries on the mission that Audrey helped to promote. Audrey lived a fulfilled life, but what could have shaped her? What was her childhood like? And how much did she achieve? Let's look at her life at a glance. Beyond the glamour. Audrey Hepburn is a name that brings to mind beauty, grace, and timeless style. With her soft eyes, gentle smile, and elegant clothes, she became one of the most loved actresses in the world. But there was so much more to Audrey than the beautiful woman we saw on the screen. Behind the glamour, she was kind, thoughtful, and quietly strong. Her life was full of twists, quiet choices, and personal pain that many people never saw. Audrey was born on May 4th, 1929, as Audrey Kathleen Rustin. She didn't become a star overnight. In the beginning, she was just a young girl dancing in chorus lines and small theater shows in London. She took tiny roles in films, never giving up on her dream. Then, everything changed in 1953 when she starred in Roman Holiday with Gregory Peck. That one movie made her a star. She won an Oscar, a Golden Globe, and a BAFTA, all for her very first lead role. She also won a Tony Award that same year for a play called Ondine. Just like that, Audrey went from being unknown to being loved all over the world. After Roman Holiday, Audrey's career took off. In Sabrina, she played a young woman caught between two rich brothers. In Funny Face, she danced and sang. In The Nun's Story, she gave a deep and emotional performance that showed her talent beyond her looks. Then came Breakfast at Tiffany's, the movie that gave us the unforgettable Holly Golightly. Audrey was funny, mysterious, and sweet, just like her character. After that, she starred in Charade with Cary Grant in My Fair Lady, where she played Eliza Doolittle, a poor flower seller who learns to become a lady. In Wait Until Dark, she played a blind woman in danger, showing bravery and emotion in one of her strongest roles. By the end of the 1960s, Audrey began to step away from the spotlight. She had spent so many years in front of the camera, and now she wanted a quieter life. She focused on her family and took only a few roles after that. One of her last big movies was Robin and Marian with Sean Connery in 1976. In the 1990s, she came back to television for a lovely show called Gardens of the World with Audrey Hepburn, where she shared her love of nature. That show even won her an Emmy. Even after she passed away, Audrey kept winning hearts and honors. She received a Grammy in 1994 for reading children's stories, showing once again her gentle spirit. She was one of the rare stars to win all 4 big entertainment awards, an Oscar, a Tony, an Emmy, and a Grammy. Not many people have done that. Audrey Hepburn will be remembered as someone who stayed kind, even when life wasn't easy. Her beauty went beyond her face. It lived in her actions, her quiet strength, and her loving heart. But what made Audrey truly special wasn't the awards or the pretty clothes. It was the way she lived her life. While the world cheered for her at movie premieres, she was quietly trying to find peace and love. She faced heartbreak, personal loss, and struggles behind closed doors. The quiet magic of her Swiss home. Tucked away in a quiet corner of Switzerland, surrounded by trees, gardens, and fresh mountain air, lies a house that holds the spirit of one of the world's most beloved stars. Audrey Hepburn may have passed away in 1993, but her presence still lingers in this peaceful retreat, far removed from the bright lights of Hollywood. To the people who knew her, Audrey was not just a famous actress, but a warm, friendly neighbor whose kindness and grace left an everlasting mark on the community. Though the house is silent now, it's far from forgotten. It stands as a living memory, a place that whispers her name with every breeze through the trees, every bloom of tulips, and in the hearts of those who still cherish her legacy. The house in Tolochenaz remains more than just a building. It is a symbol of the woman who chose to live a life of quiet humility. In this serene part of the world, Audrey became a beloved member of the community. She was often seen strolling into town, visiting local shops, and chatting with the townspeople. Everyone remembers her as a kind, gentle soul who was as approachable as any neighbor. There was no glitz or glamour about her visits, just the calm presence of a woman who smiled, listened, and made time for those around her. Audrey didn't just live in the village. She became a part of it. She attended community events, greeted shopkeepers by name, and spoke to everyone with the same warmth that made her so cherished on screen. Years have passed, but Audrey's home in Tolochenaz still draws fans and curious visitors. They come not to see a grand estate, but to stand before a simple house that was once the backdrop of a life filled with love, peace, and generosity. The shutters, garden gate, and winding path to the front door serve as quiet reminders of the woman who lived there, a woman who had everything the world could offer, but chose to live humbly, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the warmth of a tight-knit community. Today, although the house is private and no longer open to the public, its energy remains palpable. Visitors sometimes feel as though Audrey could return at any moment, just after stepping out for a walk. Flowers still bloom in the garden, and birds continue to sing in the trees, as they did when Audrey spent her days tending to her plants or sipping coffee on the terrace. The peaceful atmosphere feels almost sacred, as though the house itself is holding on to the memories of those simple moments that meant so much to her. Local children still hear stories from their parents and grandparents, tales of Audrey stopping to say hello or lending a hand with village activities. For those who knew her, Audrey wasn't just a movie star, she was Audrey, the neighbor who shared her warmth and light with everyone she met. Her life in Tolochenaz is one of quiet kindness, and it lives on in the hearts of the people who remember her, not just as a Hollywood icon, but as the woman who brought joy and love to their lives. How will she be remembered in the world? Let's look into her legacy. A legacy of grace and compassion. Audrey Hepburn's story is not just about fame or beauty, it's about love, strength, and the ability to face life's challenges with grace. While many remember her for her iconic roles and timeless elegance, Audrey's true legacy goes far beyond the screen. It's found in the lives she touched, the people she helped, and the kindness she showed to everyone she met. Her impact wasn't measured by the wealth or luxury she could have enjoyed, but by the love she shared and the causes she championed. Audrey dedicated a part of her life to working with UNICEF, helping children in need across the globe. Her compassion was evident in her actions, not just her words. She used her fame to make a difference, bringing attention to those who needed it the most. In an industry known for excess and glamour, Audrey set herself apart by remaining humble. She valued the simple things in life, like family, love, and making a positive impact on the world. Her resilience in the face of personal struggles only added to her elegance, making her not just a beloved star, but a symbol of grace and genuine kindness. What do you think about Audrey Hepburn? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more celebrity gist. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.